if you can hear me okay, and then if you can hear Mark, because we're having a little bit of an issue just getting the audio to sync. If anybody's out there, Leslie, good morning from Arizona. Going for attempt 4. Can you hear me, Leslie? All right, hold on, folks. Let's see here. Okay, Leslie can hear me. All right, Mark, you go. Let us know if you can hear Mark. All right. Can anybody out there in the world hear Mark? Or is it just me? No. Okay. All right. Stand by here. Let's see. Just me. All right. Edit mic settings. Looks like you're connected. What about, Mark, what if you just tried to use only the computer, like no headphones? Is that maybe, that's still not working? Nothing's working? All right, Mark's going to try to go from his phone. It's a good thing we don't have people in plank waiting, putting people in the position of rest while we wait. Well, while we get this sorted, Mark's going to try to go on his phone and add the stage. Oh, I think I heard something. Hold on, let's do this. Let's remove that.
Is that working?
Hey, there we go.
Should have just stuck with it.
Well, you know, we're dealing with the robots here, so it's never a dull moment. Mark, good morning, man. Thanks for taking the time.
Good morning. Hey, you got to understand, like anybody that knows me knows this is a common theme in my life with technology. I'm not really savvy in that world, but you know, we got it.
Yeah. Well, this is new for us too. Like my wife and I have done a podcast for a while. Oh, where'd you go? We lost you. Oh boy. We lost your video, Mark.
Oh,
there we go.
There we go.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So Kay and I we've done a podcast, but never really like the video thing. We set up a camera, you know, and then it like shuts off and that whole thing. But we really like this as a way of having conversations with people like yourself, with people in the community, and the production value, the tech, all of that might not be our strong suit, but I think if we can we can make up for that with just like a good conversation.
That's really what it's all about, you know. It's kind of how it was done back in the day, right?
Yeah, for sure. First question I have to ask, because somebody was funny on the internet and they said, because, you know, put the post up and said, who is Mark Jones? First question, how is Mark Jones?
That's Danny. He's one of our he's connected with one of our sponsors called Titan 6 Actual, and they are phenomenal at helping out with our DECA events. So, and you know, we call him the future president, so watch out for him.
All right.
Very fun guy.
Nice, Danny. Thank you, Danny. So, like, we don't know each other. This is the first time we're talking in live. Like, we've messaged a bunch over, you know, over Instagram with your engagement. Obviously, you put up a ridiculous score, and you know, I definitely want to like talk about that. But honestly, just kind of getting to know who you are. would love to just learn a little bit about your background, your story. You know, somebody that obviously I've seen some stuff on the internet, very accomplished. I think some of the videos I saw, there was about 1,000 medals behind you, and it's like, okay, this person's no stranger to competition and achievement and performance, but also wanting to, you know, just kind of get to know like the human being, and then obviously talk about your upcoming Guinness World Record attempt, which is really cool. How we can, as a community, get behind you and support you, and just kind of dive in. So, does that sound good to you?
Man, I gotta say, I want to cut all that off because I'm more interested. And I'll get to that, but I'm really sincerely interested in you and like how this all came about. Because me being like a rucking geek, uh, this sprung out of nowhere, and at
Mm,
least for me, and I was like, holy shit, like this has been needed for so long, you know,
mm.
and I'm sure it's out there. I could probably do my research and homework of how it came about. I know a little bit about like the progression, but I think what you have now that is globally recognized and only growing, or will grow after this first year, is absolutely phenomenal. And congratulations. I speak for myself, but I'm sure the long list of names that are on the men's and women's field, that we're very grateful for this opportunity, and thank you for producing it.
Well, thanks, man. I mean, honestly, really, that does mean a lot. And it's funny. Kay just put up a comment. We have a mutual friend, Mark Nealon. So that's pretty cool. It's just amazing how obviously there's like whatever billion amount of people, and over here in our own unique corners, separate, but there's still this common thread. And that's really cool. Yeah. So, I mean, it kind of came about, I think, actually upon like just years of being in the sort of fitness space or whatever it might be, being an athlete. It's almost like I can sense there's just components from, at least from my life, like throughout my lifespan as being an athlete, a youth athlete, college athlete, military, rucking, fitness. Oh, we lost you on video, dude. Just really kind of putting all of the pieces together, but not like setting out to do it, you know. And so it's pretty cool to hear, you know, it reached someone like you who our paths up until this point hadn't crossed. And I'm not even really sure, how did you find out about it? You there, Mark?
I caught the, you know, you started being an athlete. That's kind of where
Yeah.
it cut off a little bit.
Yeah. So just started being an athlete, and yeah, I don't know if our internet, this is annoying.
I'm at a,
Either way.
so I don't know.
Right. We'll just go nice and slow. Well, like I was saying, it was just sort of an evolution of, I think, a lifelong experience in using physical movement, being an athlete, obviously being in the fitness space, and then being interested in this component of training for something, and then taking that into whatever the field of competition might be. And yeah, we were doing a program. We've done a program in the past with another one of our companies, and it's been a ruck into a run. And I'm on this ruck, and my wife is walking a 5K, rucking a 5K with her mom. Her mom is walking it, she's rucking it. And I was just wondering, like, I bet you there's literally nobody else with a ruck at that, but I know for a fact people ruck. So just was kind of like a good idea maybe. And then we researched it and was like, yeah, I don't really feel like this exists somehow. And then we just kind of like launched it, and we're grateful to have people in our life who are supportive and who is like, hey, I think you're onto something. Like, this is really cool. I'd like to get behind it and share it. And, you know, so while it was maybe like my idea, it's certainly not, there's been many people who have helped us grow this thing. So it's kind of like a pretty cool communal effort.
And that's what it's all about. I mean, you look at, I mean, you can take a percentage of people that are in fitness in some capacity, but the numbers that really stand out are, you know, the 2% of the marathoners in the world, and now, you know, even less obviously for ruckers in the world, and how tight that community is and how you get to start to know people. Well, now you've produced a platform where we can get to know each other internationally. And I just, you don't even think about that. I think my closest connection was with a few people in the UK, just because they're big on rucking too for their, you know, their assessment as well. And, but they call it yomping. So I kind of was attracted to that as well, because in the Marines, they call it humping. That was my first experience with a ruck. And I don't think humping's as good of a term as yomping, and rucking is like in the middle. So, and then you could play with that on a lot of levels. But yeah, I'm just a guy, you know, like this whole who is Mark Jones. I'm just a guy that just needed to change his life, as so many of us feel like they need to at that fork in the road, right? And it's just led after, you know, to one event after another. And it's just the other day running, I heard Sylvester Stallone in my head, and it was like, live for something or die for nothing, you know? And it just kind of echoes every time I have that, I don't know if I want to do this today kind of moment. And, you know, it hits hard and gets you out there. And it's just a little motivators like that. And now you have a platform that keeps everybody accountable in a competitive fashion. So we know on that long list of people that still have not submitted their scores, there are numbers that are going to probably blow people away. And that's just from me knowing some of those names. So it's an honor to have me on the show, but I know for a fact if people submitted their scores a little bit earlier, I wouldn't be on the show right now. So I'm very grateful to do that. And it's because of my coach. And you have one of their athletes, you have his wife at Geiger Coaching, Sarah. She's on the female side. I think she's in the top 5 or so. And he, you know, we got the score down for the first event. And the conversation was, hey, do we want to submit this now or submit it at the end, you know, to kind of see where. And he's like, no, submit the freaking score. Let's draw them out. Let's draw those numbers out and get them up. And then, you know, kind of see what happens at the end. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to have anything at the end, because tomorrow, literally, I have a 24-hour ruck race I'm doing. And by the time I get back and maybe get a little bit of legs back in my body, honestly, I'm not gonna have a 9-mile hour in me. It's not gonna happen, but you might see it over the weekend. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
So the competition is gonna come out in these final few days, which is exciting.
Yeah, and I gotta say, you know, I'm like really appreciative of people like yourself, like everybody who did it, you know, April 2nd, right? Because we announced it on the 1st, and then people did it on April 2nd. And I'm really appreciative that people did it and they submitted their scores and they started populating the leaderboard instead of playing like the game of chicken of like, well, let me strategize this. And I get that. Like, of course, like I understand the logic with that, but I feel like it loses such a cool element, which is, oh, some folks over the Netherlands popping 10K, like what's happening here? And I think that not every ruck race will maybe be like that. Like I could understand, like, for example, next month, I could see where people would do it maybe once or maybe wait to do it. Um, but I love that. I love that people didn't strategize and play coy. It's like, hey, this is what I did. What about you? And then over the course of the month, we can have this kind of cool volley back and forth situation.
Yeah, exactly. And in my mind, it's humanity. Those first people paving the way, breaking trail, they're literally pushing the bar for everybody else to get up and submit it and see what they can do. And I mean that's awesome. And I think you said it on your last YouTube. You were talking about it doesn't matter if you're going for a world record attempt or you're just getting started. Uh, and I think I said something like, well, we all started somewhere. And it's amazing that once you do start, you're setting a PR for yourself. And now you're just breaking barriers all along the way. And, it doesn't have to be in a race. It doesn't have to be in competition. It's just like your internal dialogue saying, let's get better.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about. And events, races, competitions, they all do that for us, and they do that for the world. Whether it's you're just out there for a training session and someone sees you and they say, today's my day to get to it. Why is he doing it and I'm not? And if we do that, that's how you make the world better, and we get more people involved in the sport, because it's growing. It's blowing up in the last year. It's been around for so long, but the last year or so, it's been blowing up. And I think it's just the simple fact that you don't need to do anything but walk. If you can walk, you could do this.
Yeah. What was the moment that do you recall a moment, the first moment or an early moment where you were like, I need to get better? You had kind of mentioned that before, like, I need to change. And somebody that has pushed themselves to the extremes, I would say that you have that drive, in my experience at least, is not an external, like there's no number of medals, I would imagine, that's not the carrot at the end of the stick.
No, and honestly, Bill, those medals that you saw were there probably in the last 3 years. Everything I used to have in the past, I would just give away to kids at races or just get rid of and just not even have. Like, so many accomplishments and endeavors. I live in the present. Like, the past kind of fades away. But the reason that's all up there is because a friend of mine said, well, why would you throw that stuff away? Like, your kids should see that accomplishment, and I was doing this before kids, but now I'm watching them grow up and they're looking at them and they're playing with them. And it's setting the example of and showing the accomplishments that can be made and what you can do. And I see it every day. I'm in the gym, my kid's in the gym. I'm running, my kid's running. He has his first half mile this weekend. He's 3 years old, and he just loves to freaking run. And for me, my big moment wasn't anybody pushing me. It's when I EAS'd out of the Marines. And, as many of us do, you're at one moment, because you were in the military as well, right?
I was, yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of us, we have that 1 minute we're on a set schedule and kind of catered to, and everything's drawn out for us to you're released to the world, and there's no template for it, and you just got to kind of figure it out again, right? And I think that's where most of us get lost, and I was a victim of that. So due to loss of fellow Marines, due to situations, having that loss, no one's holding me accountable. My friends are separated all over the place. Some I felt like I left behind, like that survivor's guilt piece. I think a lot of us just resort to bad habits. Mine was hitting the bottle really hard and smoking. And one night or one day, it was like 2 PM. I walk outside and can't make this shit up. The sun hit me dead in my eye, and I looked down, and there was a half marathon flyer on my doorstep. And this wasn't something that was placed or like inserted like a Chinese menu. This thing kind of circulated in the world and landed right there in front of me. So when I looked down, it was dead center of where I was standing. And for whatever reason, I said, like, earlier, today is my day. And 2 weeks later, I ran that half marathon, not knowing anything about it. I had about 200 pounds. I was working down from 220, but, it was still heavy. And, I ran it. I was puking for days, but I wanted more. I was like, well, okay, that half kicked my ass, but what's a full? And I started researching, as we all do, and then you see, oh, you can qualify for Boston, and then you do that, and that leads into others. And like, there's the ultra, there's the hardest races in the world kind of deal. I just kept following that path of trading one addiction for the next, and like clockwork, it just kind of led me to today.
When the sun's hitting you in the face and you walk outside 2 PM and you look down and you see a flyer for a half marathon, what's the first thing that came into your consciousness?
The first thing was, what the hell is it? And then, what the hell is a half marathon? I had no clue. The next thing is when I because back then it was like a flyer, and you could register and like send it in through the mail. And I looked at the price, and it was like $80 or something. And then the first thing I went to do is I went to grab my wallet, and that was empty because I spent all my money on junk and booze and being out and partying and stuff. And I think that was the moment, saying like, I need to get my wallet full to contribute to some sort of success and win, start accumulating wins in my life. And I think this might be the path, because it's going to lead me to a healthier lifestyle. And, quickly you learn when you're training for something, if you're doing too much of one, it's gonna mess you up for the next day. Especially drinking, you're hungover. It just pushes everything to the right. You don't get things done, and it just creates a lot of problems. So I started to eliminate that side of it, and I started to push more to the athletics. And after, I started this in, it's almost 2 decades now. I think it was about 2 or 3 years of just going out and doing these events, and started to realize I'm okay. I'm doing pretty good here. Not making a lot, not making money. I'm winning, age groups, and it started to get fun, like starting to podium and meeting new people that were kind of like on the same journey as me and had the similar story. And it became more of like that adventure piece, like that destination adventure. Where am I going to this weekend? Who am I going to meet? Who do I know that's going to be there? What adventures can I have around the area after the race or before the race? And it was so much more fun than what I was doing and what I thought was fun. So, just kept building that up.
What were you doing before? Like before the military, were you an athlete? Did you have like, before you joined, what was that like?
No, I literally made a rap song for my English class to beg and plead to pass so I can go into the Marines. I was on my own. So I walked in high school, I was walking into the chow hall, and it just happened to be a Marine recruiter there. I didn't know anything about branches or what you could do within each branch. It was just, hey, you want to join the Marines? I was like, Sure. What do I have to do? Just talk to me and we'll get you set up. Okay, no problem. I was the easiest target that he's probably ever had,
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't have anything after. I was on my own, living at a friend's house. I didn't have the family, didn't have the financial support. It was just, I got to figure this out. And as soon as he said a 4-year enlistment and we started getting into it, I was sold. I said, I will figure this out in these 4 years and get my life together. Uh, and as you know, in the military, you can get your life together, or you can kind of go deeper down the hole in a different way. And I think it was kind of like a hybrid, you know, like just that little slow progression, but like deep dives as well throughout those 4 years. But I think it definitely got me squared away and got me closer to the end goal of being healthier and having a better lifestyle.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, it's amazing hearing your story and just how something going from what sounds like a pretty unguided, unstructured sort of experience to the Marine Corps, and where now it's like show up, right place, right time, right uniform, keep your mouth shut, your eyes open, your ears open, and like get ready to do some push-ups and just work hard. Um, and then and then leaving that, that challenge of like, hey, the foundation that maybe provided the structure for, that kind of gradual up, no doubt ups and downs, when that goes, that's for many of us, yeah, that's very deep. That's just like, it's very difficult to recover from that.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think a lot of people you meet in this world do not recover from that and don't have that resilience, and unfortunately, just call it quits. And you see a lot of that, with friends, family, people you interact with, and you try to fight it yourself and say, all right, you gotta dig deep and say, I'm doing it for something. If you don't have that conviction, it can be extremely hard. So that's kind of what, it just kind of fast forwarding here and getting in the world record, plug in here.
Yeah,
That,
please.
that was basically me in my gym with a white or blank whiteboard, and that symbolized that there was nothing on the calendar, there was no finish line, there was nothing to fight for or train for. And that was one of the first times that's really ever happened since 2006. And in that moment I said, well, this is happening because I need to do it for somebody else now. This isn't for me anymore. When you start to lose that momentum and you start to think about, hey, like, I have everything. I'm retired. I have family. I have a fun job. What do I need to put my body through pain for anymore? Why am I doing this? It instantly clicked. I need to do it for somebody else. And I need to
Mm.
fundraise, and I need to do something, relatively epic and something that it can be globally recognized. So, through my job, I met a guy named Patrick Taco, who is affiliated with Oscar Mike, and they've been around for a while. And their whole mission is, we know Oscar Mike on the move, right? We say that,
Yeah.
and that just, it just hits. Like, it doesn't freaking matter where you're at in life. You could still move. You still go and get stuff done. And that's what this attempt is all about. It's just fundraising for those guys, and just helping that organization out. They're phenomenal. They're really good people, and they've got a lot going on, and we're just so happy to be part of it and help them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing to hear that, you know, that service is a continuation, where now it's, you know, you go into the Marine Corps, obviously you personally benefit from it, rightfully so. You should, like, you're an individual. And then, but there's that, you know, Eagle, Globe, and Anchor, there's that flag, there's the unit, the platoon, whatever it might be. You know, I think it's a really amazing thing to have both the individual benefit from something, and as a result of that, strengthen the collective and give oneself to something larger than oneself is service. And it is something, I think, not to go down this rabbit hole, but like, I do think it is something significantly absent. Like, the absence is obvious, where there is a disconnect from maybe giving oneself to something that's potentially less of an ideology, and more of like, hey, this is an elevation of others, rather than like a defense of something else. And, you know, hearing you say that, yeah, that blank whiteboard represented that I'm not potentially doing something for others, and let's go ahead and fix that. So for those who don't know, can you talk a little bit about what is the world record you're going for?
Yeah, so Guinness World Record for carrying 40 pounds over the course of 24 hours for the maximum amount of miles. The current record's 79 and change. It's in, I think somewhere over in the Middle East. An attempt was made recently from a guy in the UK. He fell short, but just really good guy. We had some fun interactions, pumping him up for his attempt, and he was doing it on a track. I said, "You're absolutely crazy for doing that." And that's a lot of laps, just to hit the 80 miles. That's all he wanted. Just like break it by a mile. He knew I was coming for him after. He's like, "I'm just gonna get 80 and that's it." But I think he had some kind of leg injury that happened, and he still like was grinding hard to just. He knew he wasn't going to get it, but he wanted to push the whole 24 hours to raise money for his organization. Okay. But for us, we're going to have a different setup in Chicago, where you just kind of look at like the center point being the aid station, the HQ, whatever you want to call it, and we're going to run out north of that a mile and change, and then come back, and then do the same thing south and back. So it's basically, if you've heard of a backyard ultra, the format kind of like that, so that we know I'm close to home. I don't have to carry anything. I'll have a pacer, so if I need anything at that 2 mile, when I come in, it'll be ready there. And then when I come back for the 4 mile, everything will be ready there as well for that second half. And then we can really kind of battle track everything in that hour time span of, basically, hey, every hour you got to get out there and do your loop, and that will accumulate the 100 miles. So if things fall short, definitely we're gonna get the attempt, or we're gonna get the record. But the 100 miles, it doesn't matter if it's 100 hours later. We're gonna get the 100 miles. Period. Like that's the goal, no matter what. Under 24 hours, the immediate goal. Secondary is just getting it, no matter what. Nice. So, and that's gonna be in Chicago, in the Lincoln Park area, north of the zoo there, so that if people come and support and cheer us on, the zoo's there. It's free for families. It's a great location. There's parks all over the place. But the real reason for it was Oscar Mike has their red tie annual ball there. It's their big annual fundraising event, and also like an award show, like the Oscars makes their awards for them as well. And we had the opportunity of being there last year, and we were blown away. We were blown away by the professionalism all around and the setup, and just it was amazing. And immediately we went from doing it in Arkansas where I live to no, we have to do it in Chicago the day before so that we can also do the red tie and like have that additional fundraising. So I see the dates November 6th, starting at 8 a.m. But that was pretty much the reason for Chicago. I know people are like, why Chicago? But that's the reasoning behind it.
Yeah. Well, what an awesome reason. I mean, how do you feel? Where are you as an athlete? So that's in November. So you got a few months, obviously. Where are you kind of at in your like training? What just happened here?
Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Hold on. I told you, man.
EOS webcam utility.
I'll be there in a second. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. I'm gonna.
Bill, I think you left me on your own show.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Where are you
You're
at
dark.
in the? Yeah, I'm trying to get my.
With my training, I'll try to answer that way. You got to figure it out. So
Yeah.
what's the beauty and coincidence about this weekend is we're going to find out. This has been a roller coaster administratively. I've had a lot of people come in and say they're going to do a bunch of things to support this event, and they've kind of just, I hate to use the term ghosted the whole attempt, but it's almost like a 2-year training evolution. And finally, with all the support solidified this weekend, the 24 hours is really going to kind of see where we're at and give a solid baseline moving forward to the next 6 months.
What's your, how do you start to prepare for that? Like you said you're doing a 24-hour this weekend?
Yeah, tomorrow. So I'm in Texarkana right now, heading down to pick up my crew after this, and then heading over to the venue in Gilmer, Texas for the Big Bad Ruck. And it's on trail, 30 pounds, 24 hours, 1.5 mile loops, 3 water crossings, about 80 feet of elevation gain per loop. And that's basically what I know. And it seems like we're going to be breaking trail for most of it until the masses kind of trudge it down over a few hours. But yeah, the goal obviously is not to get any kind of record here. I mean, we're not at 40 pounds, we're at 30. But it's just to get through it, feel good where we're at. 80 is kind of like the soft target, and just really get my crew. Like this is you talk about like a selection process. I put this out there, and over the course of 2 years, I've really like fine-tuned who is going to be on this team, and we have the greatest collection of misfits I swear I've ever been a part of. I mean, just phenomenal people all around that I've met through leadership events and retreats, other races. Everybody has their specialty, and it's just insane. I'm so excited to put it together, but this will be kind of like a training evolution for them as well. So that's really what it's about, is to see, okay, Mark's going to need this at this mile and this hour. He's going to be like this. Let's stand back away from him at mile or hour 12 because he's gonna get pissed off and yell into the woods, or he's gonna give hugs and kisses to everybody. I don't, who knows? But they're gonna have that full experience of the 24 hours during this weekend, and then be able to, because we get on our monthly calls as well. So then we'll disseminate all that information, and then continue to fine tune our strategy moving forward.
Yeah. What do you use as like fuel for motivation, for inspiration? What keeps you going when it's, hour, let's just say 18, everything hurts, you're tired, like the inevitability of the decline has presented itself as a truth of life. What do you access to keep going?
A lot of people that know me know I went through Go Ruck selection, and that's the one thing that I failed 3 times before finishing. And I think once you get through those failures and you come back from them through the resilience and the persistence to achieve what you initially had as a goal, I don't think any future endeavor is something that's going to shut down that mind. If you say you're going to do something, you have to go do it. And I think first and foremost, that's it. And that revolves around family. If I'm like, for this event, for example, tomorrow, about 4 months ago, I said, honey, can I go do this event? It's a training evolution for the record. She checks her calendar. Yeah, we're good to go. Okay. Now I'm training. I'm spending all those hours training for this event and the record after that. So it's not just being away for a weekend. It's being away hundreds of hours. And the respect to her and to my kids needs to be there 100%. And it needs to be dialed in. If I'm crying, I'm bitching, I go home upset about my performance, what does that do for her and them? It's just saying, well, we let you have all that time. Like, what's the issue? I should go home with a smile on my face and saying, with saying thank you, despite the outcome. Thank you so much for taking the time when I was out training, when I was away. I appreciate you so much. And that's what I think about, and I have a picture with them that I'm going to see every loop. And just as a reminder, like, I'm doing this for you and the respect at the time you've allowed me to go and attack this event. And I've said this before too, is that all finish lines expire. You can't live off, oh, I'm doing this for Johnny my entire life. Like, you're doing an event for Johnny, and then maybe that evolves to, someone else or something else. But that's the thing in the past. And I did that for so many years. It was I'm doing this because I can mentality, which is great. But I think that has almost taken a back seat because that's expired. I've used that a lot of times. And I think as you grow and evolve as an athlete or a person, you need to fine tune it and revamp what you're actually doing it for, because it gets harder as you get older and you start to hit all these accomplishments, and you're just like, what more do I have to prove kind of mentality. So yeah, for right now, just the respect that my family has given me to go out and train and attack this record.
Mm. Mm. So when you're kind of when you're in that reality of the hardship, that's what you go to. That's what you access. Hey, my family, my supportive wife, my kids, my support system, not only my crew, but my like kind of, at home crew as well, value me enough to know this is important to me so that I can, keep doing it. That kind of, I don't want to say snaps you back, but that fills you up.
Fills my, as my buddy would say, it fills my love tank. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Especially the guy that's going to be there. He's actually my crew chief for the main event. Brendan King, he is an amazing guy, fellow Marine as well. We met through an event called Get Burly years ago, and we've stayed connected. And he's like 100%, I got you. And he's flying out from Virginia this weekend to come support me. He was going to do his own race, but then he's like, no, I need the full experience. I need every hour with you, every hour to move forward, to know what we need for the record. And, 100, a completely selfless person, no one's paying him to do this. He's just coming out to support and deal with me for 24 hours. That's hard. That's a hard task.
Is it? I mean, it doesn't. I mean, I know we've only been talking for 45 minutes, but man, it's like spending 24 hours with you, man. You seem like, well, not you seem, you are such a genuine dude who's a real human being who, you're not doing it for, I mean, the fact that you're aware enough to say, I want to do this so that other people can benefit, that other organizations, like you're a fire starter, that's who you are. And that's a beautiful thing. So I think anybody privileged enough to spend 24 hours with you can deal with the physical kind of stuff, but what a cool way of honestly like getting to know who you are, each other, and individually. I think that's one of the beautiful things about, hardship and adversity is this alchemical sort of process that we go through. And, we don't prove anything. I think we show. It's more of like a burning away of all of the things that maybe we walk around with, not needing to necessarily express, but the endurance events, the longer distance stuff, where that atrophy is part of it. It's just that's part of an inherent part of the experience is that wear, that grind, that I would say that like honesty, that like, yeah, everybody's going to experience some kind of, at least in my experience, and it's very similar to what it sounds like you're saying. I remember, in some of my passings, like when it is just like, I honestly do not know how I'm going to move another X distance. I went immediately back to family, immediately back to the people that were closest to me, like my wife. It was just like, this is worth fighting for, and if I, die in the process, then how lucky am I that I had something that worthy of putting forth.
Well, my mouth runs wild sometimes, and I actually kind of said something similar about about the record to my wife the other day. I said, because I'm getting all this blood test. I've never done anything this wild in my life. I have a sponsor that's giving me blood testing and like fine tuning everything I need. I think that's why I'm full of energy. So I apologize for that, and I'm ramped up for the race. But I'm taking all these like specific peptides and supplements to like enhance my body completely. And she's like, man, you're taking a lot of stuff. She's a nurse, going to be a nurse practitioner. So, anything medical, she's on my shit. So she's seeing what I'm taking, and she's like, damn, that's a lot of stuff. And I said, honey, I don't care what I take. If I die taking this stuff to go get that record, she's like, no. No, you tell your boys that right now. And I said, oh shit, man.
How old are your kids?
So I have a 9-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old. He just turned 1.
Okay.
I'm 42, so kind of late in life, but.
All right. Yeah. You talked a little bit about going after the Go Ruck selection 3 times and then passing it on your 4th attempt.
Yep.
What did those fail? What did those not passing it? Struggle to call it a failure. What did those teach you?
Oh, that's easy. One was, let's just say the first one was ignorance on my part. I didn't know, I didn't do any research. I didn't prioritize the event. I didn't respect the event. And I somehow made it, I believe, into like 36 hours or so of just pure, I can do anything in the world because I've accomplished all these other things. And some things were said that mentally got into my head, and it wasn't anything physical. I literally said, F you, cadre, I'm out. And that was my first quit. The second one was shortly after, except this time it was medical. For whatever reason, I just collapsed and woke up to them saying you were done on the beach, shy of 24 hours. And then the third one was in a place, where was it? In Montana. It was out west. And we were climbing this mountain with the sandbags, and there was only 2 of us left, and the sunrise was cresting, and I just sat on a rock. It was like a very small time where I was by myself, and I took advantage of that. And I sat on a rock. The sun was coming up. I can't make this up, man. Like a squirrel was coming up to me like he wanted to eat something, and I had nothing to feed him. And then I started to get hungry. So I lifted up a rock and started eating bugs. And I was just like, munching on a worm. And I was like, I think I'm done. So as soon as we got there to the end, they started yelling at me. And I was like, no, let's just end this. I'm done. I'm ready to go home. And then I was told personally by the CEO not to come back for 2 years. So in that first year, I experienced a lot of, the feelings you get from failure and quitting. And I said I was done and I was good, but I wasn't. And that's creep on in, as an unfinished chapter in my life. And I said on the next year, 100%, this is all I'm doing. I don't care about any other races. I'm going to do everything I need because this is it. I'm not coming home with anything else but a win. And that's what I did. I was bulletproof. I was entirely bulletproof because I had 100% conviction and nothing else mattered in my life at that time. Obviously my wife, but I didn't have my kids. I had nothing. It was just 100% focused, dialed in on that event. And yeah, I was bulletproof the whole time.
Did you change up anything in your training or, your prep? You talk about going from obviously you got multiple attempts and looks at it, even though they're all different, different. What did you change up?
There's loopholes and there's things that are happening in that event where you could take advantage of. And those are, secret endeavors that I personally took. But really what got me was some of the guys that were cheating, and I was just saying, no, like they can't survive longer than me. And that just kept going and going and going until there was 3 of us, one of them being one of my good buddies. And, if he dropped, I don't know how it would have felt, but since he was still in it and we trained together, we secretly kind of held each other accountable. But I also had a coach who was giving me advice and training me in a different way. Brian from Heavy Drop Training, he really got me in my mind on a path in a different direction to attack it. And I think that helps significantly. I ramped down it. The thing that stuck was let's drop back on things you're good at. And running was, probably the best thing I was at. So then we started to ramp up strength more. And I think that definitely really helped to have that transition into what I needed to work on. as the weaknesses. And, whatever it was, it did it, along with the mental. It's really a lot of mental of just, if somebody says something, it goes right through you and you move on, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're obviously someone who pushes himself, who, continues to do this, but you've also said that are for work too. What do you actually do for work?
Yeah, so I'm the ruck guy at DECA. So
What's that mean?
You're familiar with Spartan race, right?
Yeah.
The obstacle course race, Spartan.
Yep.
So they have a branch called DECA, which is a 10-zone functional fitness movement, kind of hybrid space right now. And they've had this for about 4 or 5 years now. And it's evolved into, all right, we go and put on the big event called the Fits, which is the 5K version of the 10 zones. And then the affiliates are the ones that really run it. And they're the only ones that can put on the strong and the mile, the Atlas, and we just do the Fits. Some affiliates are able to, if they have the correct numbers, like in Colorado in a few weeks, we'll be going out there. They're doing a fit at Cirrus Fitness. But for the most part, we do our big events, and that's what I go and do. Outside of that, I'm retired from the military and just do a lot of side projects, and to include DECA with leadership, like an organization called Get Burley. We go out and lead football teams to victories and get them to enhance their team dynamics. I just worked with my crew chiefs, a company called Rise. It's ruthless integrity. Simple execution.
I see them in the comments. Shout out Rise. Yeah.
Shout out to Rise. Sorry, I think someone was about to come in. I think they heard me, so I got brain fart. But yeah, absolutely phenomenal event for men, and going through that, it blew my mind. Just sold on that event entirely, and I just have the opportunity to do these events throughout the year. People just come to me and want me on, and I just go and give them everything I have, and it's always a good time.
Do you have any difficulty as being maybe not do you have any difficulty, but somebody of your athletic performance capability, you're at like another level. You're super humble and you're very, you say we a lot, not I, and you were giving your medals away, and I obviously have a lot of respect. Not obviously, I have a lot of respect for your humility and your humbleness. And also, I think, you have to have enough ego strength to know, like, yeah, I can do that. Like, I can go do I can set a world record. There has to be enough belief in self that gets you to consider even doing that. I'm wondering, in your experience as someone now who is like directing events, creating events, kind of being in charge, how do you check that where not everybody's at the same level that you're at? And when you're thinking about providing or curating or, contributing to these events that, others just, it might not be possible for them just, with wherever they're at. How do you kind of reconcile you as an athlete and you as event creator, director, race director kind of thing?
So let's see if I'm on the right track with the question. So at DECA, it was created so that everybody can finish. It doesn't matter, and they always say it doesn't matter if you're 100 pounds overweight, coming off the couch, you can finish this event, and that right there is enough. So as my work, I get to go out there and high five people and cheer them on and hear their stories of where they're coming from, how they've trained. And it's just it's just natural to say like it's all about them. Like there's nothing about that that is for me,
Mm.
unless I actually race it that day, and then we have fun and compare notes at the end. But for the most part, it's just, I mean, what a position to cheer people on to accomplish their goals. I mean, that's an opportunity. That's not work. That's an opportunity.
Yeah.
And as far as like events I've directed or I'm part of, I have no, and Rise is a perfect example. I said I have no ego. This is my first event. I'm kind of shadowing. I don't care if you just have me pick up trash the whole time. I don't
Mm.
I don't care. Like I want to be part of this event, and I want to experience every bit of it so that I can maybe participate and enhance it in some capacity down the road.
Mm.
Uh, so I did a little more than pick up trash, but uh, I think I'm slotted for future events. We'll say that.
There we go. I love it, man. I really love it. And I think that people, and why, appreciate you taking the time and sharing, who you are with us, is because as we build this community, there's a very, there's a very strong alignment. It sounds like, a lot of those values, a lot of those ways of viewing the reason for creating something, the reason for pushing into hardship, the reason for experiencing, discomfort, rooted in gratitude and in appreciation for the opportunity, and how to create it with others. What do you, in your experiences, you've obviously done so many events, what do you think, what do you think in terms of Ruck Race League, we are doing that has someone like yourself, um, say like, hey, I'm going to do that. There's no shortage of events. There's no shortage of things. For you, like, what do you think we're doing, um, that rings true or reaches you?
I think it's pretty simple. There's specific ruck events out there. We'll say Bataan, however you want to say it, Memorial Death March. There's the Norwegian Foot March, and those are big military known events specific to rucking. And then we have the company we all know, Go Ruck, that puts out events. And as everything changes in the world, I think this came at a time where change needs to be made from going out and walking around, getting yelled at a little bit, getting wet and muddy, to an actual competition, almost in a invitational kind of CrossFit style, but in a way, again, for the masses. We don't have to do anything, no offense to anybody, special to put on a pack and get out there and do the magical workout that's revealed each month. And I think that's the mystique about it as well. I think is an attraction for me. I like doing inaugural events of any sort. I try to, piggyback or put those in a piggy bank on my resume. First time event. That's special to me because I love paving the way, breaking trail,
Mm.
and just setting the standard for others, and then kind of seeing who comes in to break it, and then that becomes a battle year to year. But I think the mystique, of especially seeing you announce the event and getting hyped up about it. Okay, it's on my calendar. Here comes the event, and when you reveal it, it's that, all right, here it is. Butterflies go down a little bit. You start to plan the attack of how am I going to approach this event, and the strategy comes into play, and the oh shit moments, and everything that revolves around it is the attraction for me. Not to mention, scrolling through the leaderboard daily, to see who's moved up in ranks, where they're at, who I got to beat out today, my heart drops when I see newbie. He's going to pop on there probably during my race, jerk, you know, to beat my score in the middle of my 24-hour talk about strategy. And, you know, just kind of laugh. And you're like, here it is. It happened. And, you know, it's just all these emotions that go into that. Not to mention all the people that we get to share these moments with across the globe. I think that's really the attraction for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I appreciate you sharing that. Cause, you know, and the reason I ask, maybe it's a selfish reason, just someone like yourself wanting to learn from you, and someone who has so much experience, you know, in the space, obviously no stranger to rucking and competing. I'm like, not to say I'm trying to like figure out what we're doing to for anything else other than like, hey, listen to the people. Like if the people are saying like we really like this, listen to what's there. If they're saying we really didn't like this, like it's like cool. What didn't you like about it? Is it going to change? Is it not? There's some things that won't. You know, there's some things that, for example, like we define a ruck as like having to have weight on the back. You know, it's like look, vests are fine. You walk with it. That's cool. Plate carriers, like real plate carriers, you know, that have plates on the front and the back. You know, so there's, I think, some things as we build the sport and we really want to look at this as like the sport of rucking. Rucking as a sport, I think, has such an amazing potential to also lift so many other, just kind of like the rising tides thing, where all of a sudden you're like, hey, if I were to look at how do I get better at rucking, where it's just rucking, well, I should probably learn a little bit about strength. I should learn about, you know, long, slow distance. I should learn about obviously like moving with a load, being on my feet, nutrition, all of these things. You know, I think one of the things that we're going to continue to mention, or to like really just kind of beat to not a pulp, but like just kind of continue to echo is we are not trying to own everything. And we're trying to provide people with a challenging, for sure, a challenging experience, but one that's also like a good time where it's, I don't want to say not serious because it's a serious endeavor, and but also like, yeah, it's not special. Like nobody's special in this. You know what I mean? Where it's like you're doing the work, and hard work is what it's about. And for each person, that's going to be different. You know, there's people who are challenged by the percentage of whatever the load is, right? That's like, hey, there's been plenty of people. I'm sure you've seen some of the posts. Like, they're like, I would not have attempted this. It's like, yes, that's what we're looking to do. And then we see someone like you, who it's like, holy crap, you're like expanding minds, where 12.9, like that's wild, that's gnarly. Nobody really, I think, of the masses, maybe, you know, you, but like so few people were thinking like, hey, is that even possible? And I think that's what I think is really amazing about these kinds of experiences, where we're reframing. We're really good at coming up with what's not possible, but that's a lie. That's not true for so many of us. And you know, people like you who are an early adopter and are, you know, that point man paving the way, the lead goose of like, hey, let's go ahead and pierce through what we thought was a limitation and expand our minds to what we consider as possible. You know, it's a really a privilege to have you part of the community and to learn from you and get to know you, and you know, just really grateful for you being here.
Well, I'm grateful. I mean, we wouldn't have this conversation, or we wouldn't know the crazies that are out there, setting these standards, these times, these distances, the endeavors that are to still come, without Ruck League. So thank you for that. I mean, I look forward to seeing, you know, I always say the greatest athlete is unknown. And it's just someone that's out there that this is their day to day, and they do this stuff, and they find out about you guys, and they decide, hey, I'll jump in this, see what I have. And it's the like attracts like mentality, and I love just seeing the names, the flags, the accomplishments. I think everything you have is spot on. I think you're doing a great job.
Thanks, man. Thank you. And coming from you, that really does mean a lot. And we're definitely having a good time with it. We want to keep having a good time with it. And obviously November, you're going for the world record. I would imagine you'll be at the top of the leaderboard come August, end of August.
So just to clarify, I was going after this before you decided to put this out, or at least I saw it and joined and saw that November was the date. So I don't want to have to beg and plead to not have that date on the record weekend. And maybe if I am going into this finals right in November with you guys, that maybe you could push it a little to the right a few weeks so I can recover and actually help or throw down a little bit.
Yeah, like I said, or not like I said, but internally, so we're talking with different we're looking at different cities, because we want to do it right too. Obviously there's like Thanksgiving weekend, there's like where we are locally, but we are talking to different cities to try to get, and we're working with an organization who's professional, like, because we need help, like honestly, there's people who do this for a living. So we are working on that and having it be right. And I don't know how we can't guarantee a date yet, but like it's not unnoticed about what's happening on November 6th, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome, dude. Well, listen, I don't want to take up any much more of your time. Really appreciate you being super generous. Rucking 100, that's your Instagram handle. We'll put in the, I guess maybe, how do I figure that out? I guess put it in the, what's that called? Description. The video description or whatever, the link, because you're raising money for Oscar Mike, which is obviously very cool. So like, however we can continue to get that out there and direct people, we'll get the link. I saw it on your bio, so we'll put that in there. But yeah, really appreciate you taking the time, man, and like I said, being part of this, and to say we're grateful to have you a part of the league, man, is an understatement.
Oh man, I'm happy you put it out there. So thank you, and look forward to the next one, and hopefully I can maintain for this weekend. We'll see.
Yeah. How do we is it going to be like announced? How do we check in on how your 24 hours went this weekend?
I don't know if they're going to have anything live. It's through Ultra sign up, so they might have something going. But I can also connect you with my crew chief if you want updates, and he could just shoot them over to you at some point.
Cool. Yeah. Would love that. The whole we'll only be doing an hour. I know I'm going for attempt number 2 tomorrow. We're doing a local. We're hosting at a park here. I'm gonna host, gonna do it. Hopefully, just bring people together, like have a good time. Like that's it. It's free. It's, just you be part of the league, be not, I don't care. If Mark Nealon shows up, he'll do, however many double, triple miles as I do. But yeah, we'll be thinking, we'll definitely be thinking about you and pulling for you. It'd be cool. Like what if you break the record this weekend?
No, that's not
possible. No,
that's plus the record won't even be there because it's 30 pounds, not 40.
Oh, right. You said that. Yeah.
So yeah, no, just want to leave it feeling good. But you got to break the 10K. You got it. You're close.
I will.
I love that. I will. Yes. And Mark's a badass too. So if he's leading the way, just chase him.
Yeah, I'm not gonna try to follow Mark. I'm not gonna. I gotta run my own. He is. Yeah, he's super fit. He's a phenomenal athlete. him and Christy both. Like what a cool team they are. And yeah, if Mark's going, it's like right on, man. I got to make sure I don't try to stay on your heels there.
Yeah. All right. Well, let us know.
Breaking the 10K. Yeah, for sure. We'll do, man. Well, listen, are you en route, or are you at the site or the city?
No, I'm about to go drive an hour south to pick up my guy at the airport, to head west another hour, so to set up, and then back to the hotel. So I got about 4 or 5 hours still.
All right. Well,
chill.
Safe rest of your travels, Mark. Awesome to chat. Thank you so much, man. And good luck this weekend. And obviously we'll be in touch, but just, thank you again, man. Really appreciate it.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
See you, Mark.